Okay, let's talk some actual NRL. The week in the NRL, round 9, started off with Brisbane destroying South 32-12 in Sydney. Adam Reynolds leading the Bronx to victory against his old team. There was a bit of chirp early on. You don't have to be an elite ventriloquist / lip reader to work out what was being said there. He actually struck with the first 2 tries. So try assist, putting up the kick to Corey Oates, and then scored himself. He had an unreal game, 540 kick metres, 3 tackle busts, 2 try assists, 6 goals and a meat pie for the former Bunny Adam Reynolds, 2 tries to Selwyn Cobbo. Did you catch much of this game, Sean?
Yeah, I caught a fair... Actually, no, I caught most of the first half, and then I think I had to put the kid to bed, so I didn't get the end of it, but... I was pretty happy with how they were travelling at that point. South's Adam Reynolds seemed to be doing what he wanted at will. And there was kind of really 3 big stories that came out of this game. It was one, Cobbo got a new deal. They've re-upped him, and he had the big, long, maybe 90-metre try intercept. Showed his wheels, which he,
which everyone talks about. How fast this kid is.
And for a big lad as well, like he's definitely got wheels, ran away from everyone. But it was, the mismanagement by Souths were the other 2. One, how do you let a guy like Adam Reynolds go, and then he, offer him only a year, and then he turn around like. I was thinking about it. He
didn't want that much money. He just wanted a
loyal.
little bit less than what he's worth.
Yeah, and he wanted longevity. He wanted the multi-year contract.
He didn't want to
out
leave
his career. Yeah. And they sat him down, and he said it, and I think in the post-match of this, or leading up to it, some of the preview, that they brought me in, they offered me the 1-year deal, and at that point I knew I'm done, I'm going elsewhere, because they weren't going to do any better. They basically lowballed him, and he's like, I'm going to put my service on the market, and the Brisbane were like, we'll give you a 3-year deal, no problem.
They reverse Kalen Ponga him.
Reverse Ponga him.
Well, yeah, they ruined themselves. So, I think he's only getting paid $750K this year. That's good money for a halfback. Maybe. He's not in the top 3 kind of conversation. You probably start with Cleary, Hughes, and DCE,
which we were talking about last week. Who 2 is? Yeah.
But then
top 5.
Yeah, but 4 and 5, and then you're there's not many guys better than him. Playing halfback in the NRL.
Yeah, off the top of my head, like maybe Mitch Moses would be in the conversation.
Only if they're playing Melbourne or Penrith.
Ben Hunt, I know you think he's getting paid overs. Maybe
he's having a good year this year, except for today, but he's having a good year.
Yeah, no one has a good day against Melbourne, except for the Parramatta Eels. We'll get to that in just a second.
I think that's really good. Really good by then. Again, everyone's getting slammed in the South about mismanagement, etc. And then they played Peoples. Peoples got his debut in this game. He wasn't officially registered with the NRL. So
I didn't hear about that.
So if they had won this game, they were probably getting deducted their points. So
really? Didn't pay his rego.
They hadn't registered his contract.
That is the most grade / suburban football thing I've ever heard. Players who hadn't paid his rego, hadn't paid his subs, as they call them, I think, in Melbourne.
It kind of goes with that whole story of Souths mismanaging their players, and I think is it George Burgess is coming up? No, it's George. Yes, it's George. George is coming up for a. No, I've got that. Which Burgess brother is it? Which one's still playing for Souths?
I think it's George.
It is George? Yeah, he's coming up for a contract renewal, and everyone's worried they're going to lowball him and he's going to fuck off and go elsewhere. South's mismanaging players was the big chat this week, and they did it on multiple occasions, unfortunately.
And I think I might have just fucked that up, because isn't George Burgess the Burgess brother that's at the Dragons?
So I was trying to work out Sam.
Sam's not playing. No. Luke's not playing.
No.
It's Tom.
No, maybe it's not.
It's Tom.
It's Tom.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Tom. There's one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's Tom.
There's too many of them. Can't keep track of all the Burgess brothers.
No.
Just be like the Trebojevic brothers and just play on one fucking team again. Thank you.
Make it easier. Well, all 4 of them did play for South in one game, but that is a long time ago. A little bit. I was close to tipping Brisbane in this one. I went South.
I did purely because this was Adam Reynolds' revenge game. That's
Smart. No, and no Payne Haas or Kurt Capewell.
Yeah, I thought even without it, it's like South's. I don't think we'll lift for the moment, and I thought Reynolds would. And yeah, that seemed to be the case. And they had Tom Flegler actually played really well.
Yeah.
Brisbane. So, they've Brisbane 6th, I think, on the table now. They're starting to sneak their way in there.
Yeah, they're kind of starting to look like, maybe contenders.
I think, with Martin back at fullback.
Sitting at 8th at the moment.
8th.
Yeah, I think they've kind of settled on their spine a little bit better. I'm not sure if Gamble's a long-term 6, but he obviously just does what he needs to do to help Reynolds.
Their record when Gamble plays is pretty good.
Yeah, he just gives them, he's an absolute head case. He's a flog, but he just gives them the aggression, I guess, maybe they need.
I don't run into Tyson Gamble next week when I'm in Brisbane after that.
He might shank you. So but I think with Reynolds controlling the squad, he can just be a running 5'8" and be aggressive, and the boys play off it.
And he plays like he's that real gritty, kind of like a Jack Bird or a Cody Walker who got himself.
He's an effort player, and that's kind of what they need.
Yeah.
Martin really solidified that fullback position. Also got a contract extension. I think we might have talked about that. That was officially done this week.
Yep.
And hooker wise, I think they kind of haven't quite settled there, but they've been a little bit more settled this week with they've dropped Tarpin, I think. Turpin. And I can't remember actually who, because it wasn't Billy Walters, it was someone else playing hooker for them, and he had been solid.
Billy Walters started as the 9.
Yeah, who was their replacement?
Flegler play?
No, he was playing prop. Someone else. It wasn't Walters that finished at 9.
Corey Pakes?
Yeah, it might have been Pakes. Stuck in there. He's a halfback, didn't that say? So, yeah, it would be Pakes. Came in and played a bit of hooker for them in the second half. So, I think that's probably their biggest issue at the moment is settled.
Solid 9.
Solid 9, but the rest of their spine is getting more solid. From where they were last year, chopping and changing, every week, who's playing halfback, who's playing 6. They're kind of solidifying that, building some chemistry, getting all their forwards healthy and winning games. Unlike the Raiders, on the other hand, who have had the most...
Nice segue.
Yeah, most combination of halves so far this season. I think they're up to 18, I think, for their spine, their combination of all the guys going in and out of the spine. They've changed it so much with, losing Josh to start with. So they've had the 9 kind of going back and forth with Starling and Adam Elliott starting in there. Jack, of course, was suspended for this game, so they had different 7 and 6s. The fullback had another rotation this week with Nico Klosek back there before he got injured. Rapana had to play at fullback. So, yeah, they've been chopping and changing a lot. And they just got it done against Canterbury.
Bit of a mud game, this one. 14-4 on Friday night, but Canberra coming away with the win down here in the nation's capital.
Big story was, and it was actually happened in the Brisbane game. I think it was Herbie Fernsworth dived to... They play the ball, there's no dummy half, and then he dived on the ball and he got penalised. Because you got to allow the dummy half to touch the ball first, and the ref was like, "I know it's a stupid rule, but I got to call a penalty."
Really?
Yeah. So and the ref admitted that it was a stupid rule, and was like, "Oh." And then the bunker had a couple of bad misses in the Raiders game as well. And Ricky during the week had said, "Bunker never gets anything right. Why do we use them?" And this year he's probably pretty fair. The accuracy has been low
and no consistency.
Yeah, well that's the other thing. Week to week, the NRL has no consistency at all. So I guess. The problem is probably they've not over-officiated, they've over-analysed and over-scrutinised and over-ruled the game.
It slows it down so much.
Yeah, the rule book is just probably too long at this point, and they've tried to address grey areas with more grey area, and it just hasn't helped. So
50 Shades of Grey by the NRL.
By the NRL, yeah.
For a losing side, Matt Burton played pretty well. He had a try, 11 tackle bus. A bit of chat about maybe getting a nod in this Origin side as a 14.
Well,
we saw
with
Pappenhausen get hurt. Yeah. We'll get to that in just a second. We've spoken about it before. I think Jack Whiten, he's played the role before.
Oh, but they might be down for centres at this point. So
maybe he starts.
Starts right in, and Burton
again. Katoni Staggs. It's cool as a New South Wales fan that there's so much depth and so many guys that are putting their hand up. Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, you want the healthiest squad though, of course. But at least you got options.
Let us know in the comments if you think Matt Burton should be getting an Origin start in 2000, or not a start, getting an Origin gig in 2022. Getting a jersey. Parramatta, the enigma that is the Parramatta Eels. There's two teams that sit first and second in this competition after 9 rounds. One being the Melbourne Storm, one being the Penrith Panthers. And who have they both lost to? The Parramatta Eels.
Parramatta Eels.
We spoke about it last year. We used Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters. Are Parramatta the pretenders? Are they, for the poor, long-suffering Eels fans who haven't won a comp since the 80s? Are they the real deal, or are they just going to be irrelevant? Now, a poor Parramatta fan he had the last laugh. I saw a Parramatta. When someone's profile picture is just their club. This was the Parramatta Eels. He was.
Die hard.
Almost as bad as getting a tattoo of your club, but yes.
I'd definitely consider. Now, he was bagging Dave Warner, saying he's irrelevant, yada, yada, yada. I had a few beers Friday night, and I commented back off my own personal account saying Parramatta have been irrelevant for 35 years. And then they go out and beat Penrith. What do we think? Are Parramatta the real deal?
I don't think so.
You still think that? Because it's hard.
Well,
you go and get smacked by the Cowboys. You lose to the West Tigers.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just, whatever reason, they got good matchups against Penrith and South and Storm. They beat those two.
But that's good match. That's who you want. That's who you might be playing in the grand final.
True.
Teams to beat. They're the teams you want to beat.
Yeah,
but you got to get to that grand final. I think it's my point.
Is it an attitude thing?
Maybe. So that's what I think. They can beat those two, but then everyone say between 3 and 8. Including themselves, they're probably 50-50. And then everyone outside the top 8, they're going to lose to. So that's their problem at the moment.
Seems to be the ways, hey?
If they're not a top side, they just maybe just put in minimum effort, and then, they get G'd up for the big games, win those, and then they're just kind of middle tier with all the other middle tier guys. Like they're just...
I wonder what's going through Brad Arthur's head.
I think they play to their competition. Maybe that's it. Like they play poorly with the poor squads, and then that gives the poor squads a bit of momentum to win those games. They play really well against the really good teams to put them in a position to potentially win those games. And then they're just so-so with the so-so guys.
But if they've got that formula, they've beaten the Melbourne Storm the last 3 times they've played them, and Melbourne Storm have been playing
as long
fucking out of their skin the last 3 weeks, most of the season, really. Why can't they do it against the Tigers? And granted, last week we spoke about the Cowboys. Look, maybe the Cowboys are actually better than everyone thinks. They currently sit 3rd. Their points difference is over 100. But, what is going on in this playing group where you can go out and beat a Melbourne and a Penrith and can't go out and beat the West Tigers or get spanked by the Cowboys? It's a really strange one. In terms of the players, Isaiah Papali'i, unbelievable. Again, he had 48 tackles, 9 tackle busts, 186 run meters.
By the year last year.
I think he might have been the buy of the year.
Last year definitely, and they've re-upped him this year, so he's doing a job for him. He's earned his money.
When he's at the Warriors, he was on like a min contract, or like 150 or something.
Well, I think he was on vet minimum when he joined the Eagles last year, and he played out of his skin, and they bumped him up.
It's just fucking nuts, hey?
Yeah.
So their spine's been really good as well, week in, week out.
Did they move Dylan back to 6? 6? Yeah.
So I think we might have been a little bit unfair last week on the Jacob Arthur thing when he was playing 6 and Dylan Brown was bumped into the centres. I sent you boys the injury list. They had so many injuries. We also found out what nepotism means. Nepotism means favouring someone that or that's related to you or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I've never experienced that. It's weird.
English on the Esky.
English on the Esky, or possibly Latin or Greek before that. Who knows? Past a rugby league fans' knowledge base and coming from 3 rugby league fans. Reid Marnie, very good.
Bro, we've got more. We might have a higher IQ than most NRL teams. It's all right.
Than the teams. Have you listened back to our chat? I'm going to say that's a big fat no. Looking back to Stevens, who started 6 in this game. Dylan Brown started 6 in this game.
Yeah. Manly Wests. let's go there next. Probably big story, the triple turbo.
Triple
in there.
turbo.
Yeah, and Ben Travois of the Triple T's getting the double in this one. Didn't they? I think West actually made this a little bit closer than the extra score line makes it believe. They scored, I think, too late to bring this closer than it was.
Yep,
they did.
Manly, really just put them to the sword. And nothing really huge out of this game. It was the Hastings revenge game, some were thinking. But Manly should beat West. They are a better squad, especially triple T'd. They got the job done here.
But he looked pretty good.
He's got good size as well. Like
he's a big centre, dude.
Yeah, he's
like
I think he's taller than Tom.
I think he's about the same, but I think weight-wise he's bigger than Tom, but smaller than Jake.
Yes, correct.
So yeah, he's going to be a big centre, and in today's league, when
Well, if
when there's Sifa Talakai's running around and Katoni Staggs and those kind of guys.
Well, if he takes a bit of both his brothers, then that probably makes a perfect centre. So.
Yeah.
He's
How old is he? Is he 20?
He's a centimetre off Tom.
There you go. Like for like.
Yeah.
He's 105
August, 21.
kegs?
105 kegs, yeah.
21.
Let's see, Jakey.
I think Jakey might have him covered for
kegs, but not for
for kegs and not for height. Yeah.
Yeah.
107? 107? Yeah.
107, 185 centimetres.
Yeah.
So triple turbo. Now, Carl Lawton, he only got 4 weeks for that throw on Cam Murray.
Yep.
Thoughts around that? We were saying it looked pretty bad. He left his feet, which is probably why the momentum shifted so far on Cam Murray. Ended up landing on his head. Luckily, it was inches away from disaster.
Yeah.
Do you think 4 weeks is fair for that?
With the way the league's been ruling things this year, probably. It's Magic Round next week, so maybe that would have been life.
Last year, yeah.
Last year's Magic Round, definitely. We'll see what rule they change.
Carl Lawton never plays a game ever again.
Yeah, we'll see what law it is for this year's Magic Round, whether they change anything up or not. I think with the way other things did, it looked bad. It was high shoulders, not exactly neck, but you can see how it can go wrong very, very quickly and be neck, and that's where you get really, really worried. So sit him down for a month, that's probably fair. It'd be interesting to see what the Sharkies won today with the clothesline, whether that gets more than that or gets similar, because it was just as bad, if not worse. I think visually, I think the clothesline looks worse than that. So, NRL being NRL, he'll probably get 2 weeks then.
Yeah, no consistency, etc. I normally err on the side of, that's too much, what are they doing?
Yeah, we grew up with 90s football. So.
Yeah, that's right. I think this may have even been slightly unders. Yeah. Like, I think he probably could have, he was facing 5 and he took the early guilty plea. I think he could have got 6. I think the fact that Cam Murray jumps back up is fine. He's unaffected. Cam Murray doesn't miss time. That's probably,
if Cam Murray ends up in a wheelchair,
well, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fucked to even consider that, but that's the reality of that.
Well, that's the risk.
Tackle.
We've talked about the risk. We've seen it happen to multiple players.
Yeah.
In recent years. So it's.
I suppose that's
you're trying to get that sort of stuff out of the game, and if 4 weeks you don't think, that's probably a little unders, then you're probably not getting that stuff out of the game. You go heavy hand.
Yeah.
So you push 6, you push maybe even 8. You go, hey, we want this out of the league. You do this, you're going to sit down for a long time.
Yep, and that's why we're talking about it, because unlike the way that I normally look at it, and I think there might be unders for Carl Lawton. Anyways, 4 weeks he gets.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess we'll talk about it more later on, but the Will Kennedy thing, it looked bad, but you're probably not breaking someone's neck doing that.
That's the thing, with the old clothesline.
And
might knock him out though.
You could knock him out. Walsh
injury,
did get straight back up as well.
Yeah.
Well,
we know you've got one.
Oh, I've got a few less than you.
True. Yeah, I think I win for concussions on the table, unfortunately.
Maybe that's why the dyslexia is strongest on the left of the table.
Maybe. How's that IQ again?
I can just see there.
IQ's still good, the memory, not so much.
Carl Lawton sent Cam Murray a message and apologised, and there wasn't too much bad blood. And it happens so quick with those throws as well. Like the momentum can shift so
that tipping
quick.
point where you just go from horizontal.
Well, they talk about
you got to remember it's Murray's 100 kilos, so you mishandle that. Yeah. Mishandling 100 kilos is not fun. It's you're going to drop it in an awkward way very quickly.
And from horizontal to vertical, that last bit happens so quick.
Yeah.
But anyways, it is what it is. Lawton sits out
Tough
for
sport,
a month. The other big story coming out of Manly is Foz. Kieran Foran confirmed going to the Gold Coast
next
Titans.
Year, though, yes?
Yeah, end of the
2023.
year. It will be 2023. 2-year deal worth around 700, 750. Is that what we're reading?
I saw it as 700-ish.
Good for the Gold Coast Titans, I guess, in getting an established guy. Looks obviously when he plays, with DCE, they've got that chemistry
with the turbos.
Well, with the turbos,
makes being a six very easy. Run a line, hand it off, try time.
He looks very good. Will he be able to carry that over to the Gold Coast Titans, where he probably doesn't have the same talent outside him at an older age? Is it a bit too much?
Do you reckon he'll play 6 or 7 there?
I think he has to play 6. And I think Sexton plays 7.
7, yeah. Well, that's been the problem with Foran's gone elsewhere. He's been forced into 7, being the veteran and the playmaker and the game manager.
Yeah.
And I think he's better as a strike kind of running 5/8 where he's got those options. He definitely fits it. He gels with that Manly system, and of course those boys very well.
Yep.
Having played there for a very long time in 2 different stints.
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see how he goes with the Titans, who probably don't have that kind of strike power in the backs.
Well, they had been trialling Brimson at 6. They moved him back to fullback the last few weeks. Had Will Smith of slapping Chris Rock fame up there. So it will be interesting to see how Foz slots into that Gold Coast Titans system, considering his age and his gel.
Yeah, I'm more worried they'll start Paul in next year, and then they'll have to force him in at 7 and take control of the squad.
Okay, we'll see what happens next year. Next year is a long time coming. Josh Schuster, do you think he plays 6 next year? We haven't seen him just.
Well, that's a chat that Foreign's been pushed out because they want to force Josh into 6.
Yeah. He's so big. Like he could be a 13. We've seen how good Isaiah Yo's been as a ball playing 13.
Look how big that Manly squad is now with like Chubb on the wing, the turbos in the back line.
Heaviest team, weren't they, last year? I think we looked that up.
I think so,
we looked that up.
Power in the front. Yeah, they're a big squad. So,
do you think Foran goes to Titan to bring some of that maturity and leadership to the team?
Well,
it's taken them 10 years after they missed out of DCE. Then had to finally get a Manly half to come up.
That wasn't 10 years ago.
Well,
it feels like 10 years ago.
Find out, when did the DCE turn down the
backflip? 3 years maybe.
Oh, I think it's longer than that. I think he's had 2 deals since then. It was a while ago.
You can check it out.
I'm going to say 2014 or 15.
You reckon that long ago?
Yeah.
Nah, I reckon it's like 18. Anyways, Monks will chase that one up. Going back to your question around Foran, of course he's going to be able to bring some leadership and some intellect and, winning comps kind of vibe around that Gold Coast Titans group. But is he going to be able to go in there and be an elite half without that supporting cast?
Yeah.
I would think not. When was the original Titans backflip?
Yeah, it was 2015.
Oh, so you were closer. You're closer. There you go.
So, around 2015.
Where the fuck does the time go?
Yeah.
That's 7 years ago.
I might have to suck myself off later.
Did you get that rib removed this week? You're looking pretty good for someone that's just had a Marilyn Manson surgery.
All right. Roosters Titans. Roosters Dick Titans.
Absolutely. Yeah. That
Teddy Hattie.
Mate, Teddy.
And the double to the wingers. So.
Unbelievable. 226 run meters, 10 tackle bus. Looked like the...
Oh, he's past it. He shouldn't play.
That's right. He's not that good. In the lowercase, uppercase spelling variety, obviously. That's the way that we're talking about. James Tedesco there. Tupou as well. So good under the high ball, playing like a former New South Wales Origin player. Sawali, a bit of a coming out game for him.
It had been quiet so far this year. Again, he's still what?
18?
19, I think.
Yeah, he's young.
Or turning 19 in a couple of months.
I was only 19. He's very young.
18.
He's still 18, man.
Yeah,
I don't think you can criticise 18-year-olds.
No.
He does not look like an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Well, he did
no.
not look like me when I was 18.
No.
Well, you gotta
doesn't
remember-
look like you now at 32.
True.
Yeah.
Don't take my lunch money, please, Joseph.
Yeah, you got to remember, like Latrell, I think's he's still super young.
He's 23, I think.
and he's played 5 years in the top grade.
Yeah, you
so-
forget how young these guys are. Dave Fafita's 22, I think.
Yeah. So give him 4 years, and then you'll probably get the value out of him.
Of course. And people
At
say,
that point, probably Teddy's retired and he's playing fullback. So.
he's been quiet in a Sydney Roosters system when he's 18.
Yeah,
and the hype around him is it's always downfall for guys that are that good. Or are going to be that good.
Doesn't matter. The Roosters they don't need that out of him. They're happy for Teddy to do all the heavy lifting, etc., and just him to find his natural game. And then when he gets into that prime kind of football age in the early 20s, then hopefully by then he's going to have 100 games under his belt, so he'll be good to go by that point. So I'm not worried at all about him.
Trooks fans will be happy to get back on, the winners' circle after losing to the Dogs and Dragons. Both those games they were heavily favoured.
What's the stats do on the halves for the two Roosters?
Ooh, that's a good question.
They've been a little bit up down in their form, and I just wonder if again.
Yeah, Kiri hasn't quite looked like old Kiri.
Yeah,
you have to think he's coming off a whole year, rehabbing and getting himself right.
Yeah.
We're also talking about a bloke that's won 3 comps.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
He's had a lot of head knocks in that time frame.
Well, that's true,
So
and ligament damage as well.
Yeah.
So
he's got to, get the confidence back in his body, and then it's one thing to play, and then another to run at guys like Marty DePau, etc. So.
Indeed.
What are we looking for?
The comparison of the halves, they play well.
Well, Kiri had 3 try assists.
That's pretty good. So I'll take that.
On the weekend, and 2 against the Bulldogs. But like you're saying, before that, he had 3 weeks in a row where he didn't get a try assist. Before that, he had 4 in the first 4 games. So quick maths, 4, 6, 9 try assists in 9 games. That's okay, I guess, out of a half. I do agree. He hasn't quite looked like Kiri of,
and then
Premiership, Championship kind of fame.
And then Walker, on the other hand, trying to work around that as well as he'll find his feet
again as a fucking 18, 19-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. How do I fit into this squad around Luke as the veteran, and then also try not to take over the match. But they're a good system, got a good system there, a good squad. I don't think it matters at this point in the season. We're not even at round 10.
No.
Come back at us at round 20 and see where they're at, and they'll probably be in the top 4. So.
Yeah, I'd agree. Chooks fans will be happy. Cowboys fans will be very happy.
Talking about top 4.
Yeah, they are third.
Cemented themselves, I think, in that third spot currently.
Their points difference is 101, I think it was. Yeah, in the hundreds.
There's only 3 teams in the hundreds, and they're one of them with the 2 biggest.
102. Thank you for the clarification.
What are their points on the table from them to 4th? They got a 2-game lead?
No, because Sharks and Eels are both on 12 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but they've just got the best points difference out of those teams.
Did beat another bottom 8 team here in Newcastle.
Yes. 7 losses on the trot now for Newcastle. Speaking of, the opposite end of the spectrum, getting off to that 2-0 start, looking okay against Penrith in round 3, and then they've just been an absolute slide since then.
And potentially through the origin period is not going to be great for them because they've only got 2 or 3 really good players, and potentially they will all be in origin squads.
Yeah, Frizzell didn't play. He was a late admission there.
And?
I think so. Yeah, fuck my fantasy team up. Got another L in the NRL fantasy. So if he's good to go, you'd expect he plays Origin.
Ponga, I think, will probably play some part in the
you'd
Queensland
think will be in that Queensland side. Daniel Saifidi was in the New South Wales Origin.
Clemmer's
Origin side.
kind of on that. I don't think he will with playing half.
Clemmer was very good in this game. He was actually the highest scorer in terms of fantasy for the Knights in that one.
I think they prefer Haas and Saifidi brothers.
I think he'll be just off making Origin. Yeah. But it's going to be a rough period for him because that's
they're looking them and the doggies are fighting over the spoon at the moment.
That they play each other. The start of the Magic round is the 15th place Canterbury Bulldogs taking on the 16th place Newcastle Knights.
We'd hate to say that the spoons decided in round 9, but
No, I think there's a lot of teams that could still win that
Yeah.
spoon.
At the Dragons. So-
At the West Tigers.
At the Raiders. Like,
At the Gold Coast Titans.
there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad clubs and there's a few really, really good ones.
Yeah, and speaking of...
Oh, well, let's go there. Melbourne
Yeah.
Dragons. Dick the Dragons. Dragons must have scored that 6-pointer within the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was Jack DeBellin. It was definitely the definition of consolation. If
Yeah.
you look up consolation in the dictionary, you
No, just
see
let
Jack DeBellin going over there.
Yeah.
Did that just let him through and it's like, oh, we'll get you off the donut. Sorry.
I don't know. Well, they didn't concede a try against Newcastle the week before, and they'd only conceded 10 points the week before that. What was I saying to his pre-show? I think it's 166 to 18.
Yeah.
Yep.
18 in the last 3 games.
And that's why they have a 250 plus point difference at the moment.
Yeah, 225, I think is their points difference. They have the most points ever through 9 rounds. That beats an 87-year-old record from the 1935 Eastern Suburbs Roosters. A bit of a milestone game as well for a few players from Melbourne. Kenny Bromwich played
Did you
his
see
200th.
the Kiwi boys? I think there's about 8 in that squad. They did the
little
haka.
haka for him. Yeah, that got the hairs tingling. Obviously,
Which ones?
The ones on my arms.
Sorry. You set me up. I had
Yeah,
to.
take a layup, man. Take a layup. That's all good. It's all good. Now, Kenny Bromwich followed his brother, I think, as like he moved to Melbourne as a 16-year-old.
Correct.
Growing up in Auckland, playing his 200th at essentially the club that he's been with his whole career, but he goes over to the Dolphins along with his brother and Felice Kafusi, that New Zealand contingent, all leaving at the end of the year. Speaking of Kiwis, Nelson Asafa-Solomona, he played 150 today. He's a big boy. I think I think about guys who I'd least like to tackle in the NRL, and obviously any of them. But I think Nelson Asafa-Solomona, he's definitely if he's not the top, he's top 3. He got himself a meat pie. He actually lost his old man a few months ago. He had dad written on his tape and sort of signalled to the heavens after scoring there.
I think it was for him they did the haka for when they presented him his jersey, and I think his mum came into the locker room as well.
Well, they did Bromwich as well. I saw a video of Bromwich.
Probably both.
They probably did them all, so. Can't turn down a haka, bro.
No.
Definitely
Now,
not.
bittersweet
Yeah, a few injuries
for the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah.
Ramus Smith, who's been their starting centre, he tore his pec early on in this game. Pecs are generally anywhere between 3 to 6 months.
Pecs are bad ones.
So
Especially, again, Dr. Sean here on the at
Dr.
the end
Sean.
of the table.
you go. I keep saying of such and such fame, but that's,
I've got no fame at all.
That's essentially and it's also from
Dr. Sean of Dr. Sean fame.
It's also ripping off a podcast that I listen to in Hello Sport. Shout out to Tom and Eddie if you guys are listening. I'm sure you're not.
No medical fact here, Peps, but because I just remember Mark Gasnier as a dude that was a lot bigger built through the chest, had a lot more difficulties with because he tore his pec multiple times.
Yep.
And I think the last time essentially ended his career. Was like one of the last big injuries he had and ended his career towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
Those guys with the bigger chest have a bit more of a difficulty with those pec muscles and trying to get them all reattached and working.
It seems counterintuitive because generally the stronger a muscle is,
usually
less vulnerable it is to tearing.
Well, it's not like you're tearing the pec across the middle of the pec. It's the smaller attachment bit, the side. Yeah, which is not something you're trying to work out with when you're benching 120 plus kilos.
No, it's an interesting theory. I would think it's just more to do with the speed and velocity of the tackles that these guys have to make.
Oh, definitely. It's usually
the
high extension.
Arm outstretch is the general mechanism. Yeah. I would think a stronger pec should hold up more. I think it's more.
What about recovery though? So if you're like a really big chested pec dude,
this is a good question from a guy that just finished a chiropractor degree, as my friends like to say, / physio. No, look, the general thinking always is, and it comes down to hamstrings as well. The stronger that the muscle is, the least vulnerable it is to tearing.
True.
You've got to weigh that up against the velocity and the load of work that it goes up against.
Yes.
And in the NRL, and you think about velocity, you think about load, these guys playing...
We're talking general physics here now. We're talking force and...
Well, if a guy plays 24 games in the season and he plays, a little bit for Australia or whatever, and not that Remus...
Yeah.
Well, Remus has played international footy, I'm pretty sure.
Mileage doesn't help, but then also when you think like these guys are 100 kegs
it's
plus...
force.
Yeah, it's force. And they're running
mass times acceleration.
Exactly.
That's what
change
I
of direction,
think it is.
yeah.
That's what I think it is.
100% agree.
Anyways, thinking of Remus and his recovery might be okay for finals. Like that's the only silver lining, I suppose, is doing it now. The other end of the spectrum, Ryan Pappenhausen.
Yeah, well, if we're talking about mass, he's probably on the lower end of
definitely.
that. But
Dude,
for speed,
he looked so good in that first 50 minutes. I was like, every time he touched the ball as a Dragons fan, I was like, just.
At this point, I think his mullet's like 4 or 5 feet long because it's just, it's just, how far back it is from when he's at full pace. He
looks a step quicker than every single person out on the field. So he had a nasty kind of right knee getting caught under a big gang tackle.
Got twisted a bit of MCL maybe?
No. He was hobbling around.
More sort of hyperextension as well. Him into touch.
And the physio was out there and looking at the ligaments and it seemed okay. They strapped him up. And then after scoring an 80-metre try...
pulled hammy.
Yeah. They reckon low-grade hamstring tear, so maybe he'll be looking at 2-3 weeks. We'll see what the discussion is.
But I assume he strided out for full pace to make that 80. Yeah, so
and he was
again a lot of force, a lot of load on those hammies.
He was electric. He had 58 fantasy points in 50 minutes before getting hurt. 2 meat pies.
Yeah. What do they do though? Actually, if he misses time because no Nico Hines this year.
Yeah, I think young Tyron Wishart, who came in and went into the centres when Ramus Smith got hurt and then went back to fullback. Yeah, son of former Illawarra Steeler Rod Wishart. I can remember watching Rod Wishart play. That's showing our age. I think he will get the nod. The other kind of chat is, do you bring, a top 3 halfback in Jerome Hughes back to the position that he used to play in playing fullback and run someone else through the halves? Be interesting to see what they do.
I think your halfback's probably more important. You just get a big body that's got a bit of pace, put him at fullback, and then let Jerome Holmes put him in holes, and that's what we need to do.
I think I was impressed with Tyron Wishart and the way that he played coming off the bench.
Storm don't struggle for outside backs. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think he'll get the 1 jersey, and if they're reporting low grade for Pappy, and also you have to think Pappy got hurt and they still steamrolled the Dragons in that second. It was mostly in the second half. Yeah. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, well, they played well last year with missing Pap for a long part of that.
Indeed.
And found a dude like Nico Hines. So we'll have to wait and see who Nico Hines of 2022 is going to be.
And speaking of Nico Hines, the Cronulla Sharks beat the Warriors 29 points to 10. The big storyline, I suppose, was Sean Johnson going up against his old club.
Can you find Will Kennedy?
The Will Kennedy send-off. Now, this happened, 16 minutes in?
16 minutes in.
16, yep.
The old coat hanger, the old, I've just been beaten, I'll chuck the arm out and cop someone on the chin. I've never done that before in any of my sporting lack of accomplishments. It was on Reece Walsh.
Decleated him as well. So looked bad.
Took him off his feet.
He had to pick on the smallest bloke on the field, unfortunately.
He was beat and he chucked his arm out. Yeah. We're going to watch it now. And again,
the front on vision's not great. Where it shows it very, very well.
Might just be the same.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, it's a minute 30. We'll get some ads as well. And this was a send-off after, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, Tupou got his one, and that was play on. So
consistency. There's no consistency. This looked like a send-off though. Yeah. The other thing is,
it still looked really bad. Yeah. That ref actually got stood down after that. The NRL seems to stand refs and bunker officials down every week at the moment.
Poor fellas.
Sending them home, make one, But the problem is, I think that when they're making mistakes, they're making big mistakes. So we get to see it here in a second. But this one, if we're talking 4 weeks before, this looks pretty bad.
That looks
6 plus. So.
That looks horrendous. I think, like Monkey was saying before, it's pretty hard.
Let's see if we can get the front on shot.
It
kind of looks a little bit over the shoulder and that, but it's around the throat. Let's go.
It's ripping his throat.
That is a clothesline. Will Kenny puts his hand up straight away. He knows that he's fucked up. Gets sent. I'd imagine he'd be looking at 4 weeks for that. It's a shame for Cronulla because he's really underrated as a fullback. A lot of people kind of like to talk about Dylan Edwards and how underraid he is in the Penrith system. But Will Kennedy,
watch this angle. This is the angle I saw
Kennedy
first.
Quite underrated as well.
And
oh goodness, that's bad. And you can see the crowd behind reacting. Hand up. Sorry. I'll see you at the judiciary.
Yeah. I'll see you all at a home game in about a month and a half time. So
yeah, interesting. It is interesting, like we were saying before, though, in terms of causing long-term injury. You'd think the spear tackle, the Carl Lawton on Cam Murray, you'd be looking at a much higher percentage of stuff that could go wrong compared to that.
Yeah. Well, still getting whacked in the throat's not fun.
Sure. Yeah. No.
At Darren Lockyer, etc. So.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. True that.
It's your neck area. There's a lot of vital things within it, so you'd rather not be getting whacked on it. So.
They feed the emptiness that is our 3 craniums right here.
True.
Interesting thing in this game, that was 16th minute.
Cronulla
played 12 men and win easily against the Warriors.
Yeah, like a minute after this, the Warriors scored to tie the game up as well at 6-6. And they still went out 129-10. So
and Jesse Raymond,
also got sin-binned just after the second half started. So
there was a point where they were playing. Well, there was 10 minutes where they were playing with 11 men, and they beat the Warriors.
They beat the Warriors.
So that's a testament to where the Sharks are at, and also maybe a bit of a reality check for the Warriors, who we were kind of talking about. Oh, are they the real deal? We had them in our NRL preview as being pretty mud, playing away from home, but they've been kind of surprising. Maybe a bit of a reality check.
Yeah, they've been beating some of the lower tier squads at the moment, and they've run into a Sharks team that's been pretty good this year. So
bloody oath.
Yeah. All those points for the Warriors were scored in the first half as well. So
unreal.
Just couldn't capitalise on the second half having one extra man.